Good morning, tubers. Sitting out here, I'm potting up some stuff I've sprouted for greenhouses number 6 and 7. And I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about how I got here. I don't know that I've ever done this. I got a lot of videos out there that I've made. I'm probably mentioned some of this, but I'm going to let you know real quick. My grandmother, Frances Slusser, in Kentucky, had a farm. My grandpa took care of the cows. My grandmother took care of the chickens and the vegetables. And she probably had about an acre garden, maybe a little less, that I helped her with at times. And I grew to love gardening because I loved gardening with my grandmother. She would tell me stories, things about gardening, things about life, things that happened, how they grew things back when things were not quite as easy as today. And I just remember working beside that woman, pulling weeds in a carrot row. I'll never forget that. That row was probably 100 feet long and had more weeds than carrots. And I remember listening to her stories, and before I realized it, we were almost done with that row. I enjoyed it. I learned to love the gardening from her, but I did not want to do it the way she did it. I remember her before she died, not long before she died. She's out in the garden pulling weeds and her knuckles were bloody. She had problems with several ailments that caused her to have issue doing what she did, but she did it until the very end. And I wanted to be able to do that as I grew old, but I didn't want to do it that way. So I started farming we had 51 acres up in a different county, a little north of here, and north and east of here. And it was hard because I was doing it in the ground. Now I remember working for FedEx. I went to on a business trip to Orlando and took my family with me, and they went to Disney World, and they got to go play while I was working. And I got this call while I was at the data center in Orlando, and they said, "Dad, you got to see what we just saw at Epcot Center." And I said, "What's going on?" He said, my sons, both my boys and my wife said, they're growing watermelons from the ceiling. And I thought, okay, yeah, I got to see that. So I stayed an extra day, and we went through that place called Living Off the Land. And I do have a video about that trip. Actually, we revisited that trip. That was probably about 3 years ago, maybe 4. But you can check that out if you like. And anyway, my heater just came on. It's cold outside. I don't know if you can see that behind me. That's snow. We don't get very often here, but we get it. It's 19 degrees outside and it's going down to 9 tomorrow. But anyway, back to the story. We went through that process of going through Epcot Center and living off the land, and I decided, look, that's the way I want to grow things. So we started growing as soon as I got back. I had a greenhouse, and I went and bought fish, and I wanted to go be sustainable as possible and do this living off the land kind of lifestyle. I thought I could grow everything I needed to grow aquaponically, and I did. It did fine. I had about, I don't know, probably pretty close to 1,000 fish at one time, and finally came to the conclusion that this is not going to grow with my greenhouse and my farm. It's just not going to scale out for me. Now, it may for some people, but I could not get it to scale out. It did fine at a certain level, and then when I grew too big and had the demand was too much, I couldn't get the fish to cooperate. Plus, you have to keep that water a certain temperature all year. It does get cold here. It means you have to keep the greenhouse a little warmer than you would really need to do it, because I keep the lettuce greenhouses at about 60 degrees and tilapia like 70 degrees. So you had to keep it a little warmer. Costs a lot more in propane. So I started researching hydroponics instead of aquaponics. Well, that did fine. I grew. I was able to come up with the help of a farm up in Canada to learn how to grow in these NFT systems. And that was a game changer. I was always known for my tomatoes and my peppers and cucumbers, how I could grow that. But when I got to this, that was a game changer. And now I have 5 greenhouses with this NFT, which is nutrient film technique. This system here that grows my greens, spinach, arugula, collards, all my lettuces, and I do grow strawberries similar. I did at one time, but now those are in a Beto system. But anyway, that was a game changer. Now I've got 6, 7, 8, and 9 greenhouses going off on the backside over here. And if you want to start following along, you're going to see a lot of changes. In fact, let me show you what I'm doing here. All of this, and all of that. Those are tomatoes down there. These are cucumber, squash, zucchini, and some other kinds of patty pan and stuff like that I'm growing for our largest account. That's all going in those greenhouses back there. I got my collards, my baby collards are already going for them as well. So things are starting to change around here. We're growing faster than you can imagine. And that's why I'm doing this video today, is because today is a snow day. I don't have any employees here. Usually there is anywhere between 6 and 10 or 12 people here working to help me run this farm. So if you followed along, you've seen where I came from, and this is where I am. Keep following along to see where we're going, because it's going to be big. And I can't thank anyone but the Lord himself, because this would never have happened had he not just blessed us in an unusual way. And thank you guys for following along. One of the reasons I came down to this area was to get away from that stuff out there, and you just can't do it. It's a good place to be because the climate is not too terribly bad for too long as far as the temperatures and the snow and all that stuff. And you have a lot more of the better weather outside. Sunshine. You get a lot of sunshine here, and that's what you need for hydroponics. Anyway, I think that's all I wanted to discuss with you guys. Just follow along, and hopefully we'll be able to grow this farm exponentially in this next year. Thank you. God bless. Go play in some dirt, some nutrient solution, some fish water, whatever it takes to grow something. And dream big. I did. Take care.